If you think this story is just another celebrity headline, think again. Before you scroll away, stay with this until the end, because one single statement flipped public opinion in a matter of seconds. Drop your thoughts in the comments early, because right now the internet is split, and your take might land on the side no one expects. The entertainment world erupted after Travis Kelce finally addressed his relationship with Taylor Swift, right as fans' disappointment reached a boiling point over one moment that never happened. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce did not appear at the Grammy Awards, and for millions of fans, that absence spoke louder than any acceptance speech. In the hours following the ceremony, Taylor Swift's name surged to the top of global trends. Not because of a win, not because of a surprise performance, but because she wasn't there at all. No red carpet look, no reaction shots, no viral moment, just silence. When fans realized Travis Kelce was also absent, speculation exploded instantly. Two global icons, one of the most important nights in music, and a decision that left the internet searching for answers. At first, theories stayed mild. Scheduling conflicts, private commitments, strategic avoidance of the spotlight. But the tone shifted dramatically when Travis Kelce appeared in an interview that would soon dominate social media timelines. Calm, measured, but unmistakably serious, he chose his words carefully. Yet every sentence felt loaded. Kelce acknowledged the pressure of living under constant global attention, explaining that every move he and Taylor make is now interpreted as a message. According to him, skipping the Grammys wasn't about disrespect or disinterest. It was about timing, balance, and protecting something that doesn't belong to the public, no matter how famous the people involved may be. Instead of settling the debate, his comments poured fuel on the fire. Supporters praised his maturity, calling the statement grounded and honest. Critics weren't convinced. They labeled it vague, too polished. Some even suggested it was a calculated response designed to deflect from deeper issues. Within minutes, social platforms turned into battlegrounds of interpretation. And then came the shift in energy. Fans began dissecting everything. The pauses in his speech, the way he emphasized "we," the subtle change in his expression when Taylor's name came up. Clips were slowed down, zoomed in, replayed endlessly. What once felt like a simple explanation became a psychological puzzle for millions of viewers determined to read between the lines. Meanwhile, Taylor Swift remained completely silent. No posts, no statements, no cryptic hints, something longtime fans are used to decoding. That silence didn't calm the storm. It amplified it. Was this intentional, a boundary, or proof that something bigger was happening behind closed doors? Halfway through the online frenzy, one reality became impossible to ignore. Their absence from the Grammys had shifted the narrative away from music entirely. What should have been a celebration of artistry transformed into a global conversation about love, privacy, and the cost of fame. The spotlight moved from the stage to their personal lives, and it didn't ask for permission. Then came the moment that changed everything. A longer, previously unseen portion of Travis Kelce's interview began circulating. In it, he spoke with a tone that felt less guarded, more personal. He made it clear that his relationship with Taylor Swift is not a performance, not content, and not something designed for public consumption. He emphasized that not every meaningful moment needs cameras, and not every choice needs public approval. That single statement hit differently. The reaction was immediate. Fans who had been furious hours earlier began softening. The narrative shifted from entitlement to reflection. People started asking harder questions, not about Taylor and Travis, but about themselves. About why absence feels like betrayal. About why fans expect access to moments that were never promised. Of course, not everyone changed their stance. Some doubled down, arguing that with fame comes obligation. Others pushed back, drawing firm lines between art and autonomy. But one thing was undeniable. The conversation had evolved. By the end of the day, this was no longer just a story about skipping an awards show. It became a mirror held up to modern celebrity culture. A reminder of how quickly admiration turns into expectation, and how easily curiosity becomes pressure. Now it's your turn. Was skipping the Grammys a reasonable choice, or a red flag worth questioning? Say what you think, because this story is still unfolding, and the next chapter could arrive without warning. Stay close, stay curious, and remember, sometimes the loudest statement is the one never made. As the hours passed, the conversation didn't slow down. It multiplied. Entertainment outlets began reframing the story, no longer asking why Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce skipped the Grammys, but what that absence represented in a culture addicted to visibility. Headlines shifted tone. Analysts weighed in. Former industry insiders began reminding the public that even the most powerful celebrities are still negotiating boundaries in real time. Behind the scenes, sources close to the situation suggested that the couple had anticipated backlash, not because they feared it, but because they understood how symbolic events like the Grammys have become. For fans, attendance is no longer just presence, it's perceived loyalty. And when that expectation isn't met, disappointment turns personal. What made this moment different was timing. Taylor Swift is at a point in her career where every move is treated as historical. Every appearance is archived, analyzed, ranked. Meanwhile, Travis Kelce is navigating a world far removed from the NFL field. A world where emotional intelligence is scrutinized as much as performance stats. Their relationship exists at the intersection of two massive fan cultures, each with its own rules, expectations, and emotional investment. That collision is what fueled the outrage. Yet quietly, another narrative began to emerge. Fans started resurfacing older interviews, moments where Taylor spoke about reclaiming control over her time. Clips where she mentioned exhaustion, the pressure to constantly be on, the fear of being reduced to headlines instead of humanity. In that context, the Grammy absence began to look less like avoidance and more like intention. Travis Kelce's words gained new weight when viewed through that lens. His emphasis on privacy didn't feel defensive anymore. It felt protective, not just of a relationship, but of a shared decision to step back when the world demands more than it should. Then came the numbers. Engagement metrics showed something unexpected. Despite initial backlash, sentiment analysis revealed a gradual swing toward neutrality, and then support. The very audience that felt disappointed began to engage in deeper discussions about parasocial relationships, about the unspoken contract between celebrities and fans, and whether that contract has quietly become exploitative. Still, the tension never fully disappeared. Some fans insisted that skipping the Grammys wasn't just a personal choice. It was a missed cultural moment. A night where Taylor's presence alone could have shifted narratives, boosted fellow artists, and reaffirmed her dominance. To them, absence felt like silence in a room where her voice mattered. Others pushed back hard, arguing that the expectation itself was the problem. That no artist, no matter how influential, owes their physical presence to validate an event. That choosing not to appear doesn't erase impact, it redefines it. As debates raged, Taylor Swift remained quiet, and that silence became the most powerful element of the story. In an era where celebrities rush to clarify, explain, and soften every controversy, her refusal to engage sent a message louder than any statement. She didn't deny, she didn't confirm, she simply continued forward. And that, for many, was the payoff. Because beneath the noise, a clearer picture formed. This wasn't about skipping an awards show. It was about choosing control in a world that profits from access. It was about two people deciding that not every milestone needs witnesses, and not every reaction deserves a response. By the end of the week, the outrage had cooled, but the conversation stayed alive. Not as gossip, but as reflection. Comment sections turned philosophical. Fans questioned their own expectations. Media commentators acknowledged that the line between public interest and personal entitlement has never been thinner. And somewhere in the middle of all that noise, one truth settled in. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce didn't disappear from the Grammys. They stepped away from the narrative everyone else was trying to write for them. Whether that choice strengthens their bond or fuels future controversy remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, this story didn't fade because it lacked drama. It lingered because it forced people to look inward. So now, the question isn't where they were that night. The real question is why their absence mattered so much to us. And that's where the story truly ends or begins. As days went by, the story refused to fade. Instead, it evolved. What began as disappointment slowly transformed into something heavier, more complex. Media coverage intensified, not because new facts emerged, but because the silence itself became newsworthy. Analysts dissected the cultural meaning of absence, while commentators questioned whether modern fame has reached a point where opting out is treated as rebellion. For many fans, this wasn't just about an awards show. It was about routine. Taylor Swift has become synonymous with moments. Showing up, standing out, redefining expectations. When that pattern breaks, it creates emotional whiplash. The Grammys weren't just another event. They were a symbol of continuity. And when continuity is disrupted, people search for meaning. Sources close to Taylor Swift quietly noted that her recent months have been relentless. Tours, recordings, appearances, private travel under constant surveillance. Every public step now triggers a global response. In that context, choosing not to attend becomes less about withdrawal and more about survival. Yet those nuances rarely survive the speed of social media. On the other side, Travis Kelce found himself in unfamiliar territory. Accustomed to press conferences centered on performance and strategy, he was now navigating emotional interpretation. His every word carried dual weight, as an athlete and as a partner to one of the most scrutinized figures on the planet. That pressure reshaped how audiences heard him. As clips from his interviews continued circulating, a pattern emerged. Travis didn't over-explain. He didn't dramatize. He didn't perform reassurance. Instead, he maintained consistency, reiterating the same idea in different forms. Not everything is for public consumption. That restraint, intentional or not, became its own statement. Meanwhile, fans began revisiting the timeline. They compared previous moments when Taylor chose absence over appearance. They connected dots between interviews, lyrics, and long-standing themes of autonomy and control. Slowly, the outrage softened into curiosity. Not curiosity about scandal, but about boundaries. Entertainment journalists began reframing the narrative. Headlines shifted from "fans furious" to "fans divided." That change mattered. Division implies conversation, and conversation suggests growth. Instead of demanding explanations, more people began asking whether expectations had quietly crossed into entitlement. Still, tension lingered. A significant portion of the audience felt emotionally invested. For them, visibility equals reassurance. Seeing Taylor and Travis together at high-profile events symbolized stability, not just in a relationship, but in the fantasy of accessibility that fans have grown used to. When that symbol disappears, uncertainty fills the gap. But uncertainty doesn't always signal danger. Sometimes it signals transition. Industry observers noted that skipping the Grammy Awards may mark a subtle shift in how Taylor approaches public milestones. Less obligation, more intention, a recalibration of presence rather than a retreat. In an ecosystem that monetizes constant exposure, even a single absence can feel radical. By the end of the second week, the emotional temperature had changed. Comment sections became reflective. Viral posts questioned why fans feel owed explanations. Think pieces emerged about parasocial relationships and the invisible contracts fans believe they hold. The narrative matured, not because everyone agreed, but because the conversation deepened. And through it all, Taylor Swift remained silent. That silence wasn't empty. It was deliberate. In a culture where instant responses are expected, delay becomes power. Not reacting denied the controversy oxygen. It forced interpretation without confirmation. And in doing so, it exposed the assumptions people bring to celebrity relationships. Travis Kelce, when asked one final time about public expectations, offered a line that quietly closed the loop. He acknowledged gratitude for support, but emphasized that gratitude doesn't require constant access. That respect, he suggested, is mutual or it isn't real. That moment didn't go viral the way outrage does. It didn't trend for hours, but it lingered, because in the end, this story wasn't about a missed red carpet. It was about redefining presence in a world obsessed with visibility, about choosing when to show up and when not to without apology. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce didn't explain everything. They didn't need to. Their absence sparked frustration, then debate, then reflection. And in that progression, something shifted, not in their relationship, but in how people talk about it. So as the noise finally settles, one truth remains clear. This wasn't a scandal driven by revelation. It was a moment driven by expectation. And the fact that it stirred so much emotion says less about where they were that night, and far more about how deeply the world feels entitled to watch. What followed after the initial wave of reactions was something rarely seen in celebrity news cycles. Exhaustion. Not from the artists involved, but from the audience itself. After days of speculation, arguments, and emotional think pieces, a noticeable fatigue set in. The same fans who once refreshed timelines every hour began stepping back. Not because interest disappeared, but because the story had outgrown outrage. Major media outlets started publishing longer-form analyses rather than breaking updates. Instead of asking what was wrong, they explored what had changed. Cultural commentators pointed out that celebrity relationships are no longer consumed passively. They are followed in real time, tracked like ongoing series with expected plot points. Appearances become episodes. Absences become cliffhangers. And this cliffhanger hit harder than most. For years, Taylor Swift's public presence has been interpreted as intentional storytelling. Fans are used to clues, symbolism, carefully timed visibility. When that rhythm pauses, it disrupts expectations built over more than a decade. Skipping the Grammys wasn't just skipping an event. It broke an unspoken pattern. And broken patterns demand interpretation. Behind the noise, industry insiders quietly acknowledged something else. The Grammys themselves have been changing. Ratings pressures, shifting cultural relevance. A growing disconnect between awards prestige and audience trust. Some questioned whether absence from the event might say as much about the institution as it does about the artist. That angle gained traction, even if it never fully dominated the conversation. At the same time, sports media entered the discussion from a different angle. Analysts noted how Travis Kelce was balancing peak career visibility with personal scrutiny that few athletes experience. His composure under questioning became a focal point. Unlike the explosive reactions audiences are used to, his consistency stood out. He didn't escalate. He didn't retreat. He stayed level. That steadiness slowly reframed the story. Fans began to notice that nothing concrete had actually changed. There was no announcement, no confirmation of conflict, no visible fallout. The relationship, at least publicly, remained intact. What changed was perception. And perception, once shifted, has a way of revealing more about the observer than the subject. Online, long threads emerged dissecting the idea of earned access. Do fans earn visibility through loyalty, through streaming numbers, through years of support, or is access a gift that can be withdrawn without explanation? These questions extended far beyond one couple. They touched the core of modern fandom. Interestingly, younger audiences showed less frustration than expected. Many defended the decision to step back, citing burnout culture and mental health awareness. Older fans, more accustomed to constant media cycles, expressed deeper disappointment. The generational divide added another layer to the debate. As weeks passed, something subtle happened. The story stopped escalating. No new angles stuck. No fresh outrage caught fire. Without new input from either side, the narrative plateaued. And in celebrity culture, plateau often signals resolution, not because questions are answered, but because attention moves on. Yet this moment left residue. Future appearances, whenever they happen, will be read differently. A joint public moment will feel amplified. A continued absence will feel intentional. The baseline has shifted, and that shift will likely influence how both figures navigate visibility going forward. From a news perspective, this story will be remembered not for drama, but for restraint. Not for revelation, but for reaction. It stands as an example of how modern audiences respond when denied access they assumed was guaranteed. In the end, no statement closed the chapter. No post wrapped it neatly. The story faded not with a bang, but with reflection. And perhaps that's why it lingered longer than expected. Because sometimes the most impactful moments in pop culture aren't defined by what happens on stage, but by what doesn't. As the narrative continued to stretch beyond its original spark, one thing became increasingly clear. This was no longer a short-lived controversy. It had transformed into a case study. Media scholars, pop culture commentators, and longtime entertainment journalists began framing the situation as an inflection point, an example of how celebrity culture behaves when expectations collide with restraint. The absence of immediate gratification unsettled audiences. In a digital era trained on instant answers, Taylor Swift's refusal to clarify and Travis Kelce's refusal to elaborate disrupted the cycle. There was no scandal to resolve, no apology to analyze, no confirmation to celebrate. Just a vacuum. And vacuums invite projection. For some fans, that projection turned inward. Online discussions shifted away from accusation and toward introspection. People began questioning when admiration subtly turns into ownership, when support mutates into demand. The idea that celebrities owe moments to the public started to feel less solid when examined closely. Industry insiders pointed out that this reaction wasn't unique to this couple. It was simply magnified because of who they are. Taylor Swift represents cultural dominance in music, while Travis Kelce stands at the peak of athletic relevance. Together, they occupy a rare overlap of influence.